delighted and honored to be given the opportunity to organize this event in our beautiful city, Putrajaya, Malaysia. I wish to extend a warm welcome to fellow delegates from all ASEAN member states. Your kind attendance today really demonstrates your great commitment and cooperation in moving towards one ASEAN community. Nevertheless, I do hope that you will also take time to enjoy fascinating Malaysia with its tropical setting, friendly people, and multicultural cuisine. Malaysia is truly Asia.
Allahumma ya Allah, we beg you to grant us with all good things which pertain to this day and days after. Protection from all evil which pertains to this day and days after. Allahumma ya Kareem, you are peace, and all peace is from you, and all peace returns to you. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين تقبل الله.
That took Dr. Chen Chow Min, Secretary General, Ministry of Health, Malaysia, Madame Noraini Dato Modotman, Senior Director, Food Safety and Quality, Ministry of Health, Malaysia, senior officials of ASEAN member states, excellencies, ambassadors, dear colleagues and friends, ladies and gentlemen. Today is an important, indeed a notable day in the quest for food safety in Southeast Asia. And it is therefore a great honor for me to be with you on this remarkable occasion. My first words would be to thank the Ministry of Health Malaysia, the ASEAN Secretariat, and the ASEAN Programme for their gracious invitation and for the opportunity to address you on behalf of the Director General for Health and Food Safety of the European Commission, DG Sanko as we used to call it, and DG Santé as it is now known. Santé is the French for health. We are here to celebrate the launch of ARAC, the ASEAN Risk Assessment Center for Food Safety, which brings into being one of the key components of the ASEAN food safety policy. For me, this inevitably evokes memories of a similar, albeit less prestigious, event that took place 14 years ago in Brussels, the inauguration of EFSA, the European Food Safety Authority. At the time, public confidence in the European food supply and also in the system designed to protect consumers was at an all-time low. In the aftermath of the hormones, mad cow disease, dioxin crisis, to name but a few, European consumers had lost confidence in the food supply in Europe. They had lost confidence in the food legislation and in the food controls. But most importantly, they had lost confidence in the food science. Somehow, consumers understand that risk managers take divergent decisions. They put it down to politics, priorities, strategy. They even understand that controls can sometimes fail. But they cannot understand and cannot accept that scientists cannot agree whether hormones in veal, for instance, is injurious to health or not. They cannot understand and cannot accept that scientists disagree between themselves on whether the BSE prion can or not pass the membrane of human brain. When scientists disagree, it's not that consumers believe one is right and the other wrong. They just believe they're all wrong. Thus, when the Commission undertook in 2000 a thorough overhaul of the EU food safety policy, we knew that we needed to boost our capabilities to address the complex scientific issues that lie at the very heart of the food safety. And this is how and why EFSA was created in 2002. The ASEAN Risk Assessment Center for Food Safety is built on a different logical model than EFSA. It is actually much more reminiscent of another risk assessment agency in Europe, the European Medicines Agency, EMA. In both EMA and ARAC, the governing body and the scientific committee are an emanation of the member states. They are a web or a network bringing together the member states. In contrast, in EFSA, both the governing body and the scientific committee are disconnected from the member states. Thus, in a way, EFSA brings an additional voice, admittedly a very forceful voice, to the debate, to the scientific debate in Europe. But you can easily imagine how journalists or NGOs would seize the opportunity of the slightest divergence between EFSA and some of the national agencies to serve their side of the argument. It is thus my view, and I do stress my own personal view, that the model that you have chosen for ARAC is the better one. It is the model that is most likely to generate confidence amongst your stakeholders. And it is the model which is best designed to serve the purpose of regional integration and in particular the operation of the ASEAN Economic Community. These will obviously be the key priorities of ARAC. At DG Santé in Brussels and at EFSA in Parma, we will watch with great interest how ARAC is doing. We will lend our support when asked and when our resources will allow. But with nothing like the means of the colleagues in DEFCO, who are able to mobilize cooperation. And rightly so, because that is not our mission. Our mission, Santé and EFSA, is towards EU consumers. Our mission is to guarantee the safety of the food supply in the European Union. However, because the EU is the largest importer of food and agricultural products in the world, and because ASEAN is our third largest trading partner, we have just not an interest, but actually an obligation to engage the food safety regulators in this region. Our cooperation already encompasses exchange of information, notably through rapid alert system, but it should, and will no doubt, one day extend to risk assessment. From our side, the main interest would be in sharing the risk assessment of all those products, notably fruits and vegetables, durian, rambutan, mangosteen, that don't grow in Europe and for which we cannot generate the data that would be necessary to support the establishment of an MRL, for instance, for pesticide residues. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to congratulate ASEAN, its member states, its secretariat, and its sectoral bodies on the launch of the ASEAN Risk Assessment Center. DG Santé of the European Commission is wishing you well in this new undertaking, because it is a noble one and one worthy of support. Every day we can do something to make our food safer is a good day. Today, therefore, is a very good day. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the European Union is very honored to be called to contribute and participate here today to the launching of the ASEAN Risk Assessment Center for Food Safety, ARAC. I would like therefore to start by thanking the government of Malaysia and ASEAN Secretariat for its trust on the European Union partnership to develop such a key regional coordination center for food safety and trade among ASEAN countries and beyond. But also would like to thank colleagues from the European Commission and from the EU-funded program ARISE for the great work carried out together with ASEAN countries and bodies. The European Union has a vital interest in the success of the ASEAN integration process. You are the most successful example in Asia on how cooperation and coordination among neighbors sharing a common destiny and facing similar challenges forge ahead stronger together. And what could be more important for families and communities than food safety? Clearly, this is a key area where sharing scientific knowledge, standards, and harmonization of regulation among ASEAN member states go directly in the benefit of ASEAN citizens and economies. Ladies and gentlemen, I will not delve now into the technicalities or the comitologies or the different institutional setups of food safety in Europe or in ASEAN itself. Much more competent speakers than me have already started approaching on the issue and will also after myself. The main message I wanted to express here today on behalf of the European Union is a message of satisfaction. We are very happy when I see the European cooperation agenda basically concentrated underpinning the ASEAN agenda that is fully and truly a regional agenda. As you know, we have regional cooperation as part of our genetic code in the European Union, and harmonization of standards at regional level is as important part of any internal market. That's why we fully support the ASEAN Economic Community you launched here in Malaysia a few months back. I'm also very proud and humble at the same time when you task the European cooperation and expertise to contribute to the articulation of this food safety center, which will be very important for your integration efforts from so many perspectives. And last but not least, I'm very happy too, because a more integrated, healthy and safe ASEAN is in direct benefit for the region, but also for the European Union itself. Indeed, I try never to miss a chance to remind audiences that ASEAN is our third largest trade partner, as Patrick mentioned before, and that Europe is by far your first source of investment. Solid and shared scientific fundamentals underpinning safer food circulating among ASEAN member states and between ASEAN and the rest of the world can only be mutually beneficial for our excellent bilateral economic relations and shared prosperity. That's why the European Union is a staunch supporter of ASEAN blueprints and visions, and that is why we are doubling our cooperation with the Secretariat, keeping very important budgets to reduce differences within the region and accelerating connectivity. And yes, if I may, to finish here, we have also created a new dedicated EU mission to ASEAN to work closer with ASEAN, based in Jakarta, and I created before the ASEAN Secretariat that I am honored to lead, with the good support of colleagues from all our embassies in the region and the excellent projects such as ARAC, praise at every ministerial and some meeting I have participated so far. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me once again to congratulate the Malaysian government for hosting this event and the ARAC Center itself, to thank again Secretary General of ASEAN and rest of colleagues for distinguishing this launching with the presence today, and again to my colleagues from the European Cooperation ARISE program, which will continue in the years to come under the name ARISE Plus. Soon, I hope. And thanks also to the dialogue partners present here today for the good cooperation support to the ASEAN agenda. Best wishes of success for the ASEAN Risk Assessment Center for Food Safety launched here today. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank the government of Malaysia for their leadership of the efforts toward the establishment of the ASEAN Risk Assessment Center for Food Safety and with hosting of the center. I'd like also to thank the European Union for its support through the EU-ASEAN Regional Integration Support Project for the initiative. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the launch of the ASEAN community at the end of last year constitutes the most important milestone in ASEAN journey toward the peace, stability, and growing prosperity that the region has been enjoying for the past recent decades. Anchored on its three pillars, aiming for political cohesion, economic integration, social responsibility, and a really people-oriented, people-centered community, with a combined GDP of more than $2.5 trillion US, making it the third largest economy in Asia and the seventh largest in the world. ASEAN today is a highly cohesive, dynamic region that offers vast opportunities to its 625 million people as well as to the international community. A prosperous ASEAN is first and foremost a healthy ASEAN. Sustaining ASEAN's strong economic performance requires a healthy population that will continue to fuel its growth. And food safety disconnection is a critical element ensuring the achievement of this goal. Together with a stronger healthcare system, backed by more inclusive health policies, comprehensive food safety measures are indispensable in ensuring the health and well-being of our people. In the ASEAN, more than 15 health development agenda seeks to enhance food safety as one of its major health priorities for the next 5 years, from 2016 to 2020. And ASEAN has been intensifying efforts to enhance mobilities, capacities, and advocacies in health-related elements towards food control systems. And this is focused on developing guidelines and harmonizing policies and standards, increasing competencies in laboratories and facilities, strengthening capacities for risk assessment and analysis, improving the emergency response system, and enhancing coordination among the ASEAN bodies working on food safety. With greater connectivity, ASEAN is facilitating the seamless movement of goods, which in turn enhances our trade production networks and establishes a more unified market for firms and consumers. And in such a single market and production base, it is imperative for ASEAN to pursue comprehensive, evidence-based response to food safety risks confronting our region. Assessing and communicating risks must play an important role in the implementation of food safety measures and mechanisms, contributing ultimately to the general well-being of our people and the trade in food within the region and with the rest of the world. The ASEAN Risk Assessment Center for Food Safety, being launched today, is an important institution to pursue those objectives. As a regional center that coordinates and integrates food safety risk assessment activities, the center signifies ASEAN's strong commitment to have a region that is safe from the foodborne diseases and chemical contaminants. By bringing together experts and scientific resources from around the region, the center is establishing a platform that will enable us and member states to collectively address existing and emerging food safety risks, contributing towards the safe and quality food in the ASEAN community. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to commend the ASEAN Health Sector for the establishment of the center, which will benefit from the continuous support of ASEAN member states, from dialogue partners and external partners, and all relevant health stakeholders in the region. I wish ARAC its important task success and contributing to a healthy, caring, and resilient ASEAN community. Thank you.
Madam Narainio Othman, Senior Director, Food Safety, Ministry of Health, Malaysia. Delegates from the ASEAN countries, friends, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a great honor for me here today to officiate the launching of the ASEAN Risk Assessment Center for Food Safety. And this event is organized by the ASEAN Expert Group on Food Safety under the Senior Officials Meeting on Health Development in collaboration with the ASEAN Regional Integration Support from the EU and the Ministry of Health, Malaysia. I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere appreciation to the ASEAN Secretariat and the ASEAN Regional Integration Support by EU or RISE for the invaluable contribution in supporting the Ministry of Health Malaysia to host this historic event. I am pleased to note the presence of a wide range of stakeholders, which indicates the prime importance and concern all of us have when it comes to food safety and our shared goal of improving food safety and protecting the health of consumers. I'm sure all of you are aware by now today, food safety is an international agenda. Recent events and challenges, particularly the emergence of serious transboundary food scares and new international agreements related to trade in food, have confirmed the importance of food safety. The economic importance and ubiquity of food in our lives suggests that there must be a prime interest in food safety in society as a whole, and in particular by authorities and manufacturers. The health, the economics, and the political consequences can be quite devastating when food safety and quality are compromised, as food crises in the last few years have shown. In addition to that, with the expanding world economy, globalization and liberalization of food trade, growing consumer demand, rapid developments in food science and technology, and improvements in transport and communication, international trade in food is increasing rapidly. Hence, ensuring food safety has become more complex and more challenging. Risk assessment has been internationally recognized as a scientific tool in the development of food safety measures. This is reflected within the sanitary and phytosanitary agreement of the World Trade Organization, where member countries, including many ASEAN member states, may only impose food safety measures that are more stringent than international standards, namely Codex Alimentarius standards, provided there is scientific evidence based on risk assessment. In order to meet these challenges, it is imperative for us to maintain the strongest possible scientific capabilities to enhance the existing food safety policies and systems. I strongly believe that the best policies in food safety have strong fundamental roots in evidence and science, whereby its impact is measured accordingly. We need to ensure that our interventions and measures have a positive effect on consumers' health. We need assessment tools to guide our efforts, gauge the success of our policies and interventions, and make a direct link between our actions and outcome. We need to know what is working and what is not working in order to reach our goal of ensuring food safety. As such, I am of the view that a strong evidence base is not a luxury that we can enjoy when times are good and cut back when times get tough. The risk of not having a strong scientific foundation supporting our day-to-day decisions is considerable and could have far-reaching consequences. In order to apply the latest scientific knowledge and thinking means that we have to leverage on the expertise of other countries by pooling our intellectual assets to enable us to achieve results faster and better than if we were to do it single-handedly. In this regard, today's official launch of the ASEAN Risk Assessment Center for Food Safety, or ARAC, marks a historic occasion that reflects our ASEAN collective effort to enhance food safety. The endorsement by the 12th ASEAN Health Ministers meeting on 18 September 2014 in Hanoi, Vietnam, for the establishment of ARAC as an institution for food safety risk assessment at the ASEAN level is indeed most welcome and timely as we move towards the realization of our aspirations of establishing an ASEAN economic community with a single market with a free flow of goods that include food. I'm also pleased that the importance of ARAC is reflected in the chairman's statement of the 27th ASEAN Summit held in Kuala Lumpur on 21st November 2015, which recognized the establishment of the ASEAN Risk Assessment Center for Food Safety, ARAC, as a monumental landmark that will contribute towards food and quality safe food in the ASEAN community, as well as in facilitating food trade within ASEAN. And I'm sure that food will increasingly interconnect our ASEAN community due to the many similarities in terms of diet and food practices, our common interest in ensuring safe food, as well as the transboundary nature of food trade. Indeed, these similarities, common interests and aspirations provide the strong basis for ASEAN member states to establish and maintain common food safety control measures based on science for food traded across the ASEAN region. In fact, this commonality will ensure that ASEAN interests and its unique needs are taken into consideration in the development of global standards without creating unnecessary, unjustified, or discriminatory obstacles to food export for ASEAN countries. This, I believe, will also strengthen ASEAN solidarity with one voice in the international area to protect its interests. I have been a strong proponent that ASEAN should slowly evolve towards common food standards. We appreciate the fact that the different countries in the ASEAN region are different states of evolution. But as we commit ourselves to subscribe to reach up to international standards, including reaching the standards of GMP, initially and eventually reaching to the highest standards of HACCP, this is a goal which I think all ASEAN countries probably should work towards, although we might take differing periods in trying to achieve it, depending on where we are starting from. But I think if that is our eventual goal, then it will actually provide a common platform of a single certification for food safety within ASEAN, which could be mutually recognized within the ASEAN community for a start, and eventually could be the standard for recognition of ASEAN food in the international area. And this is something which is worked towards, and once there is an ASEAN certification, there shouldn't be any other authority in the world question that certification, because it has been accepted as an international accredited and accepted mode of certification. So that is what we have to work towards, and I have told our Food and Safety Organization that that is the eventual goal, and that is where ASEAN would actually achieve its full integration. And challenges are many, but I'm sure collectively we can work towards that. So in this context, I hope that ARCAC, in fulfilling its missions of providing independent food safety risk assessment to assess food safety issues of common interest to the region, can leverage and pool ASEAN expertise to provide the scientific basis to support decision-making on measures needed to control food safety. And such integrated efforts, I'm sure, will not only facilitate the adoption of common measures on common food safety that are evidence-based, but will also help us move towards the eventual goal which I stated just now. So with those words, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I would like to congratulate all ASEAN member states, the ASEAN Expert Group on Food Safety, ASEAN Secretariat, and ARISE for having worked together and their collective efforts in establishing the ASEAN Risk Assessment Center today. And with this official launch, ARAC will embed a new culture within ASEAN and will bring together our strength, and through that bring ASEAN collectively to higher levels of food safety. With those words, I have great pleasure in launching this ASEAN Risk Assessment Center. Thank you very much.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Congratulations. Then let us start. Again, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to ARAC. Right, we like to. All right, next we like to invite
the Honorable Dato Sri to